Hey everybody, I'm Eric and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about credit scores and the credit scoring system, because if you can understand how your score is calculated, you can improve your score relatively easily and quickly. As always on my channel, we'll look at my actual credit score and the real numbers I'm working with. Now, without diving into my ancient history too far, I do want to mention that due to some poor decisions on my behalf, about 10 years ago, my credit score was at absolutely rock bottom. Literally every single account that I had in my name was in collections. And I even had a judgment filed against me in civil court. I was, at the time, in more ways than just my credit, at rock bottom. I mention this because yesterday I woke up to an email from Credit Karma telling me that my credit score had gone up to 770. This is by far the highest my credit score has ever been. And I got excited and then took a moment to just reflect on where I had been and where I am now on this financial journey. So my quick point here is that it doesn't matter if your score is 790 and you're just looking to find out how to hit that magical 800, or if your credit score is at rock bottom and it just seems absolutely helpless. The fact that you're here watching this video means that you're ready to learn and start making positive changes that can and will happen. Stick to it. So with that, let's dive into how your score is calculated and what things you can start doing right now to start improving your score. So the first category is payment history, and this alone makes up 35% of your credit score. This is weighed heavier than any other single factor. The ability to pay on time shows responsibility and stability, which lenders want to see if they're going to let you borrow their money. This category also allows for the smallest margin of mistake. According to Credit Karma, anything less than just 99% will drop you down into the yellow, and anything less than 98% will immediately put you into the red. Now, companies typically will not report a late payment to the credit bureaus until it's more than 30 days past due. So if your payment is due on the 15th and you pay 5 days late on the 20th, this will likely not affect your score, and you'll just have to deal with any late fees or penalties associated with making a late payment to that particular lender. But once you're 30 days past due, the company will report it to the credit bureaus. Now, here's the other reason that making payments on time is so crucial. Once a late payment is reported to the credit bureaus, that single one-time mistake stays on your credit report for 7 years. Some other notes about this are that the more late the payment is, the worse it is. And the more recent the late payment is, the worse it is. For example, a 90-day late payment is going to be worse than a 30-day late payment. And a late payment that happened last month is going to be worse than a late payment that happened 5 years ago. For this reason, if you have any late payments, this needs to be priority number one. Start with the most delinquent payment and work your way forward. Once all the delinquent payments have been made, there's little more you can do at that point aside from wait the 7 years for them to fall off of your report. Going forward, set up auto pay for everything. On-time payments are absolutely crucial in the fact that you could do everything else right in all the categories, but if you make payments late, it's going to destroy your score. And I'm just gonna put this out there. If you've got a late payment out there that you haven't paid, but let's say you went out to eat last week, you need to watch this video and then come back to this one. Now, number 2 is your credit utilization, and this category makes up 30% of your credit score. This is essentially how much of your total available credit you're currently using. For example, if you have 2 credit cards with a $10,000 limit on each one, your total available credit is $20,000. If you have a $5,000 balance on each of the 2 cards, then you're using $10,000 of your total $20,000 limit, which puts your credit utilization at 50%. This is important to lenders because it essentially shows if you're responsible and whether or not you're living within your means. If you have 5 credit cards and they're all maxed out, you're probably spending more than you're earning. Now, credit utilization is broken down into overall utilization, as in the example that I just gave, and also individual utilization. So using the same example, your individual utilization would also be 50% for each of those 2 cards, and your overall utilization would be 50%. And 50% utilization is terrible. According to Credit Karma, between 0 to 9% utilization is best. And once you get beyond 29% utilization, you're going to fall into the yellow. I did a video about how I was going to pay off my credit card debt by getting more credit cards. In the process, the plan was that this would also improve my credit score by improving my utilization, which it did. So as you can see, I have 2 credit cards currently. My On Point card has a limit of $20,000 with a current 0 balance. My Bank of America card has a $16,000 limit with a current balance of $5,740, which puts me at 16% utilization. So if you've got high utilization, whether individual or overall, there's a couple of things you can do right off the bat. If you've only got that 1 card, you can get another card or a couple of cards to transfer the balances to those. Find a card with a 0% introductory rate on balance transfers, and then transfer enough of a balance to that new card or new cards to lower your overall utilization. This is kind of a balancing act because you also don't want any single card to have a really high utilization, so you need to spread the love. Now, this will increase your individual utilization on those other accounts marginally, but depending on the amounts, it could be beneficial. Now, while we're on this topic, I want to point out a quick myth that a lot of people believe, and that is that you should carry a balance on your cards month to month. People believe that if you don't use your cards, it's bad. This is simply not true. If you have a card that you don't use, you can put it in a safe, shred it, just forget about it. Doing this will improve your credit utilization because you'll have more available credit. The only real reason I can see to close a credit card account is if the annual fee is just too high and you can't justify the cost with the use. Leaving the account open will also improve your average credit age, which takes us to number 3 is credit age or length of credit history, and this makes up 15% of your score. This is essentially how long you've had credit accounts. Older is better here because lenders like to see that you have experience with credit and you're not just some noob that has no idea what they're doing. Now, my credit age is not good, and this is because I didn't know what I was doing before. So when I would pay off a credit card, I closed the account and then open the new one. Well, this destroyed my credit age because the bureaus don't include closed accounts in this category. So my overall credit age is equivalent to a toddler that's barely learning how to walk, which makes lenders nervous. A longer credit history provides more information to lenders and provides a better picture of your long-term financial behavior. So if you're gonna lower your utilization by getting a new credit card and transferring the balance to that one, don't close the accounts once the balance has been transferred. Even if your payment history wasn't spectacular for that particular card, it's probably still better to leave it open. Again, according to Credit Karma, 9 or more years of credit age is best. My average credit age is 2 years and 8 months, which puts me in the red. Now, I obviously have more experience than just 2 years with credit, but I stupidly closed so many accounts along the way that I effectively just destroyed the evidence of my experience. Now, number 4 makes up 100% of your credit score, and that's hitting the like button if you're enjoying this video so far. Okay, seriously, number 4 is new credit, and this makes up 10% of your score. This is essentially loan applications and new credits that were added to your report within the last 6 to 12 months. Generally, a bunch of new credit accounts opened at the same time or in a relatively short amount of time is viewed as a red flag to lenders because it could suggest that you're in financial trouble and you need a lot of money now and you're going to spend it all now. Now, I know some of you might be thinking right now, whoa, you just told me to get a new credit card to lower my utilization. Remember that this whole thing is a giant balancing act. Pretty much any action you take is going to have a positive effect on one end and a negative effect on the other end. Also remember that credit utilization makes up 30% of your score, while opening a new credit account accounts for 10% of your score. And yes, opening a new credit card account will also negatively impact your credit age, which is 15% of your score. But if you're getting killed by high credit utilization, this could totally make sense. And this is exactly what was happening to me. My credit utilization was horrific at over 60%. So I opened a new credit card and transferred the balance. While this had a small detriment to my average credit age and my new accounts category, it vastly improved my credit utilization. And my credit score went from 742 to 770 just by doing that. So the benefit far outweighed the detriment. Lastly, at number 5 is credit mix, and this makes up the last 10% of your credit score. This is essentially having a healthy mix of revolving credit and installment loans. Revolving credit is a credit card or a loan from which you can borrow, and when you repay it, you can borrow from it again. So it's revolving. An installment loan would be something like a car payment or a mortgage, where you're loaned a certain amount and you make monthly payments or installments until that amount is paid off and then the account is closed. Experts say that borrowers with a healthy mix of the two represent less risk to lenders. Again, this just shows that you have experience with various types of loans, and lenders like to see this more than somebody that has no credit cards, for example. So if you've got a mortgage, a car payment, and an installment loan for that absurdly expensive engagement ring you bought for your fiance, but don't have any credit cards, this could actually be hurting your score. Granted, this is only 10% of your credit score, so it's very possible to have an excellent credit score with no credit cards. But if you're that person that's on the cusp of the magical 800 number and can't figure out why you can't get there, this might be it. If we look at Credit Karma again, they suggest that having 21 or more accounts is best. Now, some other things that can impact your score are things like derogatory marks and inquiries, with derogatory marks having the far bigger impact. Derogatory marks are things like collections and judgments. So let's just say you decided to completely stop making payments on a credit card or a loan. Usually after about 180 days, the lender will write off that debt and sell it to a collections agency. Once a debt has been reported as in collections, it will be on your credit report for 7 years from the original delinquency date of the original debt, or basically from the date of the first missed payment. I'll make another video in the future about how to deal with debt that has been sent to collections. These debts can often be settled or paid off for far less than what the original amount was. Ask me how I know. The other type of derogatory mark are matters of public record. These are things like bankruptcies, civil judgments, and tax liens. For example, if you had a debt that you decided to stop paying and it was worth enough money, the lender may decide to sue you in civil court rather than sell that debt to a collections agency to improve their odds of recovering their loss. Or the collections agency might themselves decide to sue you in civil court over it. These things also remain on your credit report for 7 years. Ask me how I know. Another thing that impacts your credit score to a very low degree are credit inquiries. This is basically when a lender pulls your credit report to review it to help them decide whether or not to approve you. This can negatively impact your credit score, but it's pretty minimal and it falls off your credit report relatively quickly. And this kind of falls in line with the new credit category because it shows lenders that you might be trying really hard to get as much credit as possible. Now again, a quick little disclaimer here. I know that Credit Karma is not your official score and that your actual score will likely vary, but it's a great resource to use and gives incredible insight. And in my personal experience, my actual score has never really been too far off from what Credit Karma is telling me. If you haven't done so, you can sign up with Credit Karma. It's absolutely free and it's just a huge resource. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see the video on how I use another credit card to improve my credit score and pay off my credit card debt, watch this video. But first, please take the 0.25 seconds to hit the like button before you leave. Leave any questions or comments down below, and until next time, make it happen.